Hello and welcome to my video about live service gaming. This isn't a video about pay-to-win video gaming. If you want to see that video, I made one and it's on the top right-hand corner of your screen. This video is about something equally as sinister and toxic for the video game industry. Well, maybe not the industry as a whole, but for us, the gamers. This video is about live service gaming and why you should mostly avoid it. To avoid confusion and for the sake of continuity, I will mostly reference live service as online only. When a game gets old, the servers will shut down and you can't play the game anymore. I'm sure we can all agree Helldivers 2 is a super fun game, but you don't actually own it and won't be able to play it forever. And I'm not talking about licensing. Let me explain. When you buy a game, you don't think to yourself that you're just buying a license to play, you think that you're buying a product, something you own. But in reality, when the game becomes dated and the devs decide to jump ship, you are left with a program that will boot up only to give you an error message saying cannot connect to server. In the past, the developers tried to make a good game, often pouring their hearts and souls into development, because people would buy it and spread the word about how awesome the game was. Studios would develop a name for themselves, a reputation for developing good games. Look at Blizzard, for example. They were once regarded as the pinnacle of video game development. And now, in today's market, 2024, Blizzard has one of the worst reputations in the industry. At least the gamers think so. This was good for gamers, because we would get the best possible game that the devs could whip up for us. And the devs took pride in what gamers would think, since our good experience with their games would directly affect their sales numbers. Now the studios don't even care if the game is finished. Since we can just get live patches and updates, the devs can fix the game after they release it in a terrible state. With pre-sales earning these studios hundreds of millions of dollars, they don't have to worry about the player experience too much. They've already made their profit, and after they fix the game into an enjoyable state, the gamers will change their negative reviews to positive reviews, and the studios will then catch the remaining holdout sales from the gamers who were smart enough to wait it out in the first place. Today, the most lucrative business model for a video game is live service or only official servers. You require an internet connection, fear of missing out battle passes, a microtransaction store, and with no options for peer-to-peer or private hosting. While some games can help to be live service, for example, an MMORPG like World of Warcraft, this is fine and to be expected. A monthly subscription fee on top of initial purchase is also to be expected in this case. But there is no reason for a single-player game or even a co-op game to be online only. Look at Hitman, for example. It's not even co-op, it's single-player, but you need an internet connection in order to play it. If IO Interactive ever decides to remake Hitman on a new engine or something, they'll just abandon this current version of Hitman, and everyone will have to buy the new Hitman game if they want to continue playing Hitman. Logging into the old end-of-service Hitman would result in an error message stating unable to connect to the host server. Imagine buying a car, and then 10 years later when you go to start your car, it spits out an error message at you saying it's no longer supported and to go look for a new car. I agree, this example is a bit extreme, but I think it gets my point across. Since we are on the topic of online-only single-player games, let's talk about performance. I don't think it makes much sense that I buy this expensive computer to run the current generation of games, just so that I have to log into an official server to play my single-player game with terrible performance. Just because I have to connect to the single-player game, I have to have an internet connection and connect to your lousy official servers. Simply put, lag in a single-player game is obscene. It makes no sense. For the most part, it's up to gamers to make sure their rig is up to snuff if they want to run modern titles. I absolutely should not have to worry about lag in a single-player game just because these studios force me to connect to their unbelievably unreliable servers. And lastly, I want to point out again, I already went over the Dragon's Dogma 2 microtransactions. Click on the video on the top right if you want to check it out. Dragon's Dogma 2 has a cash shop on their single player game. They have an option to recreate the look of your character in exchange for real life money. For me, this is a large, bright red flag. We have this guy over here from EA boast that he could sell gamers reloads when they run out of bullets. This is how these suits think about you and me. That we would pay real life money to get extra bullets in a game like Battlefield, or pay to change the appearance of our in-game characters. Sure, in Dragon's Dogma 2 you can change your appearance if you find the in-game barber NPC or whatever, but that's besides the point. These greedy little goblins would design a game that is just inconvenient enough so that some, if not most of you, will pay a few extra bucks to skip the grind. These studios will only get more brazen and more disgusting with the way they monetize our games. And it's mostly because most of you are buying microtransactions and shortcuts like boosts, pre-sales, and deluxe editions. I often hear the argument that these games are online only now because it helps combat piracy. Newsflash, as long as there are video games, there will be video game piracy. Nothing they can do will change that. Crackers will always find a way to upload your game for free, Mr. Developer. If that was the main reason for making single-player games online only, then just have us log in one time to our accounts, and then you can verify the account, and then you'll know we paid for it, right? Then just let us play offline or peer-to-peer if we choose to do so. By making single-player games online only the norm, these studios will only further push gamers into niche underground communities where piracy is rampant. They will still make gazillions of dollars off the brain-rotted masses, even with piracy on the rise. We will always have indie devs that can't afford to make their games online only due to overhead costs associated with the servers to keep them running. Did you really think that they chose not to make their games online only because they were being nice? The big boy studios don't have to worry as much since they have large amounts of capital for the initial launch of the game. Microtransaction stores not only cover the server cost, but keep the studio flush with a steady flow of revenue. Why am I making this video? Why would I waste my time trying to convince you to be careful of your future purchases if it's all hopeless in the end anyways? Well, you can choose to help shape the industry by choosing what to buy and what not to buy. I know it's hopeless, I know most of you aren't going to listen, but I gotta at least try. The only thing you can do to make a difference is to not buy their games. Nothing else you can do will make a difference. No politician will care to listen about your issue with video game monetization. You can have a petition to remove microtransactions and ban single-player games from being online only with 50 million signatures, and it wouldn't make a lick of a difference. They have already made massive profits from pre-sales, deluxe editions, and their microtransactions. But they will start to notice that people aren't as likely to purchase a game that is online only, or is loaded with micros, or both. Then they will change the way they monetize games, and go with the flow of the market. All they care about is profit. So if you take that away from them, the profit, they will change the way they design and monetize video games. Some quick tips for you if you have no idea how to buy a game without all this crap in it. When you look at a game, check to see if you need the internet to play it. Check to see if it has or will have modding support. These are good indicators that you will be able to play this game long term. You could invest thousands and thousands of hours into it and master it without the worry that the devs will cut the cable and leave you hanging on the side of a mountain with your money in their pocket. Also, places like GOG.com will sell you the actual ownership of the game instead of just a license to play it. And whatever you do, don't pirate games. Definitely don't do that. Definitely don't go here and here. And please do not look into getting a VPN to protect yourself from the cease and desist letters you'll get from your ISP if you don't do that. I do not condone the piracy of video games. It's bad for everyone, especially the soulless corporate suits who are perched up in their corner office of their multi-million-dollar skyscrapers. So if you can, and you aren't brain dead, hold off indefinitely on picking up the new quadruple-A video game you're excited about. Wait to see how they plan to monetize the game beyond the initial purchase. Decide if it's really worth it or not to let them insult your intelligence. Either way, it doesn't really matter to me. There will always be niche developers out there with a fair monetization model and a great game to go along with it. There just won't be nearly as many as you'd hope. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Washed Up Old Insecure Gamer rants about how the world is rapidly changing around him, but he realizes there's little to no hope of saving it. Bye!
And substantial portion of digital revenues are microtransactions. When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not very price sensitive at that point in time.